Welcome to South Beach Sessions. I'm very excited to do this one for a number of reasons. Steven Jackson played 17 years in the NBA, unrelentingly authentic, an NBA champion. But so how things escalate, you're surrounded by paying customers, and at some point here, Ron Artest gets hit with a drink. So take me through this from your perspective, what it is that you're seeing and what it is that you're remembering here through this.
Right, at this point, pause, can we pause it?
Yeah, pause that real quick.
At this point, so right now, Ron has come on the table. His therapist told him when something happens like that during the game, go somewhere, lay down, or, just try to put some headphones on the block out. He did exactly what they told him to do. But at this time, Ben is walking off, Ron is laying down, but it's the players on the other team that's still talking and still pushing and stuff. So during that time, I walk around, y'all a little bit ahead, but I walk around and I pull out my jersey and square up with Rip Hamilton and Leslie Hunter. Rip Hamilton is a friend of mine. This is a good friend of mine. I just told we was in a McDonald's game together. So, but it's just a rivalry at the time, so we willing to go at each other.
You did pull out the shirt.
I squared up. I squared up. If that's what y'all want to do, like we trying to break it up, y'all still talking. So let's fight. If that's what we gonna do.
You were the only one who pulled out his jersey though and squared up. Like
if this is what we about to do, right? So I seen that's wasn't really what it was. They really didn't want to fight, so I'm glad because I didn't want to have that bad blood with Rip. I love Rip Hamilton. That's my real friend. And so I ended up going back to by Ron, and by that time, as I'm going back, the beer comes, and now you can play the tape. Ron goes first. I'm right behind him. But as you see, pause it. As you see, this is another reason why I should feel like I should get my money back. If I was going in the stands to just throw punches, it's 100 people that I jumped past that I could have punched. I'm up about 8-9 rows. I didn't hit nobody on my way up there. I didn't push anybody. And if going up for it, you're going to see me. I go straight to Ron to grab Ron. I don't punch nobody. I'm on my way to grab Ron. I think I grab him. Go back. As soon as I get to Ron, I put my hand on him. A guy throws another beer in his face. I'm like, come on, bro. All bets off after that. You ain't finna get away with that. And that's not, I was forced to throw that punch. It wasn't I was going up there to punch people. I could have went up there. I could have punched people on the first 4 or 5 rows. I'm going up there to help my teammate because my coach is going. My coach got him.
Yeah, that's where it happens. You're the first one there.
I'm the first one there. And as you see, I was really going to finish. I was going to go stump him out. But they grabbed my jersey and my teammates grabbed me, which I'm glad they grabbed me because I was going to hurt that dude. I'm in Port Arthur right now. I'm not in Detroit. I'm in Port Arthur, Texas at a club right now. And I'm in survival mode. As you see, everybody grab. I'm in survival mode. But why everybody grabbing me though?
Well, they know who's dangerous there.
Well, everybody's grabbing me.
Well, but because you're the most enraged, and furthermore,
my brother C came up there solely to get me out the stands. He came up there solely to get me out the stands.
You're saying you were going up as peacemaker right up until you see a drink right in his face.
Footage don't lie. That's why when they came down so hard, I'm like, bro, he was assaulted twice, and y'all didn't say nothing about neither assault. So if I'm wrong and you finding me $3 million for defending my team, and after it's clear that this guy threw a beer in his face, I know what this is. It's not about right or wrong.
I did think one of the things, I've said this before on our show, that was fascinating to watch is that immediately after this fight, the coverage of the media at ESPN primarily, which is what I was watching, was pro-player. It was the customers shouldn't do that. And then the following morning, all of that changed in a way that I'm like, somebody made a call here. Somebody didn't like the way that was being talked about. And then the whole story shifted because all I heard was people defending players.
Mike Tirico was on air. The fans, they're thugs. It was solely about the fans. The next morning, we getting dragged. Oh, we like, hold up, bro. We was at work. Oh, y'all not gonna talk about them throwing stuff at the bus when we leave, and y'all ain't gonna bring up none of that. Oh, we know what this is about. This is about the business of basketball. This is about black athletes with all this money should be acting like this. We trying to change the dress code and change this shit anyway. You know what? We gonna use them as an example. That was dead ass wrong, and they know they wrong. That's that's why I'm glad that the documentary came out. By no response from them, or even try to fix this shit, when they see how wrong the league was, that shows exactly how they stand on that side.
Have you come to grips? I know we started with some of this because it seems bittersweet. You're one of the few people your age who could be on the cover of What Up All the Smoke Is, and be with your arms crossed, still at your age, and everyone knows that it comes with a street credibility and a loyalty. The person that is there, everyone feels like they know what he's about, but they know this much about what you're about. If this is all they're using,
that's not even 10%. The lawyer part of me, yeah, you see that on me. You see that I'm a solid guy, but I'm so much more than that. And you know what, Dan? I don't care if people that don't matter to me look at it a different way. I don't. But because I don't come in contact with you. You're not in my daily life. I care about the people I'm around. I care about the people I work with. I care about the people that I'm willing to do things for and reach out to and do give back. I care about those people because that means something to me. Because I'm around you. Because we cross each other every day. I want you to know that you have a loyal person around you. I want you to know that you have somebody that's going to speak up for you the same way, I talk about you the same way when you're not around. I want you to know that I am consider myself the most solid guy ever. I want you to know that's where I stand. But if you're not around me, I'm not going to put in that effort to let you know how great I am. Because it doesn't matter. The people around me need to know that. And that's how I work. That's how I live my life.
Is it something that has its scars on you still? Like am I reading too much into it when I say the interview I saw with you and Matt talking about this, it seemed like you were withdrawing.
I'm still pissed.
Withdrawing into yourself.
I'm still pissed. I feel like at this moment, they need to be watching me and you talk about it and be like, bro, we giving you y'all money back.
Refund.
It's just that simple. It's that ass. It's no way that they should have took $3 million from me for that when I was at work. I was at work. I wasn't in the club. I wasn't just being a thug. I was defending my team. The tape shows everything. Okay, if I would have jumped over the first row and started punching fans right there, yeah, kick him out the league. Dan, I was not that person at all. So they was trying to paint a total picture of me and Ron. They couldn't really do it with J.O., because J.O. was an all-star. He's one of the best players in the league. And J.O. wasn't in trouble. J.O. wasn't that type of guy, stand-up guy. You respect him on the court, but he wasn't that type of guy. So they cleaned it up with him. They dropped his games, I think, to like 5 or something like that. But they upheld it with me and Ron for some reason. I know the reason now, because the picture they wanted to paint. And what happened after that? Dress code, all that other stuff. So I knew what they was doing. We just gave them ammunition to do it quicker.
What's the most fun you ever had in a season? Those 8-seeded Warriors, that seemed like fun from afar. The 8 seed that beat the Mavericks. You had the championship season. If you've got this kind of foot pain while being the captain for someone who believes in you, where do you look at the 17 years and say that was the best season?
My happiest and funnest year was definitely Golden State. My best basketball playing year was Charlotte. I should have made the All-Star team. I brought that team from nowhere to in the playoffs. So playing-wise, definitely Charlotte, but the most fun, the happiest I've ever been, the most enjoyment I had playing basketball on and off the court, not even close. Golden State by far.
Why was that?
Because we showed up to practice together. We left practice together. We went to dinner together. We went to the strip clubs together. We went to family meetings together. We did everything together. Everything. And to the point where we had the management of that team using some of our slang, our slang words to address each other. So we were a real family. Like I said, I don't think you'll ever find a team where you got 4 or 5 guys that all got married and they all at each other's weddings.
I'm excited to do this one because I really admire Joakim Noah for a number of different reasons. Obviously, he's a champion, Defensive Player of the Year, top 5 in MVP voting. But one of the things that I love about you is that I always thought that you were willfully tough in a way that was unreasonable, that you were playing through a great deal of pain. And also that you're a bit of an artist who was always himself in a world where I wondered how he got along with everybody because it seemed like you were built a little bit differently. And the the world that you occupied was an interesting one to me from afar. So I'm happy that you're going to allow me to explore it a little bit with you today.
Respect that. Nice to be here.
I don't think the average person understands the kind of shape that you were in.
I think being in shape was something that came natural for me. I played with a lot of fear, just always feeling like, did I train? Like, I don't think I trained enough. So I was always doing extra because I was this fear of losing, of not being good enough. I think that, a lot of it before the injuries and the pain, it's like, it's really mental. And it's like, what gets you there? What emotions help you get through the hard part?
The tools, what are the emotions that help you there? Because you're talking about, you mentioned self-work. I don't know when you started doing that. I don't know that the athletic space allows for it very much if you have to be singularly minded about like getting ahead. Did you mention that phrase purposefully, or is it something that post-career you've had to get tools with?
No, I think that the self-work is something that I had to go out and search for myself, especially when the injuries started happening. I played for the Knicks, hometown, so excited to come home. And, I failed miserably in a very public way. And, I lost my confidence. How was I going to find that joy out there on the court? That was my safe haven. This is where I felt the most at peace. This is where I felt like I could express yourself. But when you're not right, it's a tough place to be. It's a very lonely place. So, I was just therapist, and that wasn't really working. How am I gonna figure this out? It's just so I started doing some really unorthodox training, and training underwater with Laird Hamilton and Gabby Reese, and finding some new mentors. They were doing all these underwater pool exercises where you would just, a lot of breath work. And, I even went to the jungle, and I did everything.
If I may, because when you talk about your 2018, I don't want to be presumptuous, but I thought from afar, that must be very hard, what he's going through. Going back to New York with expectations, got the big contract, was super coveted as the rescuer of the New York Knicks, and now his body's not working quite right. What a dark spiral that can be, that the dollars don't help you with when the dream you thought that was, your body doesn't let you do it, and now your mind's falling apart. Because I imagine when you say your confidence was wrecked, you're not even just talking about basketball. If basketball's all you are,
yeah,
then who are you without basketball?
That's right. New York is a different place because there's no hiding in that city. I felt like a fish in a fishbowl. It's like you're walking in the street, something you've been doing your whole life, and now all of a sudden it's just everybody stopping you in the streets, wants to talk to you, what's going on. But when it's going well in New York, it's the best. But when it's shit, it's tough.
When you feel like you're failing, right? If your self-worth is wrapped up in your work and you're walking around and your body doesn't work right and you want to be known as more than just a body, but you also are you're squeezing everything that body will give you out of trying to please these people, being unreasonable to your body.
That's
because right. I associate you with pain, Joakim.
Yeah.
Do you know how weird that is? I'm only watching you, but I associate what you were doing at the end to physically hurt, because it seemed like I was watch you and I'd be like, holy shit, this man is so willful.
Yeah, I would probably do anything to be out there on the court. And you know what? It was some tough lessons during that time. But it was like my mentality. I got to fight through, and that was the way I was able to, inspire my teammates to play harder as well. Is just, you have to go out there and go through the fire yourself first. And when my body wouldn't let me, there was a lot of lessons to be learned from me, for sure.
I didn't know whether the man in New York, the man who chose to go to New York, had regrets about going to New York because it became a different thing than whatever it is his identity was in Chicago, which was more warrior, more success, and whatever the best version of yourself publicly was.
Yeah, but I think that, like I said, it's like that pain that I had to carry throughout my New York experience, it made me better. It made me realize that it's not all about what people think about you. Like, fuck that. And, you have to move on from that eventually, the persona that I had in Chicago was a different than one in New York. Like, absolutely. Did I want that back at all costs? Absolutely. But it taught me a lot as well. Just like, okay, this is actually not making me happy anymore. This chase for the glory, that's not what it was anymore. So I had to dig deep. I got kicked off the Knicks. I got into it with the coach, and I got suspended for drugs. That's all like really heavy stuff in a really, really public platform. But I was able to, and when I got kicked off the Knicks, it was February. I didn't make a team until November. So for 6 months, I was free. I was getting paid a lot of money, and I was free to figure this out for myself. And it was deep, man. I traveled. I did ayahuasca therapy. I mean, I went all in, and I trained every day by myself. It was not a coach telling me practice it this time. No, I got a trainer. I went to go work out at Laird and Gabby's every day, sauna, ice, whatever I could find to help me get to what I needed, to where I needed to go. And you know what? In November, when I signed with the Memphis Grizzlies, I went by myself, and I was coming off the bench. It was a completely different atmosphere, different vibe. And I'm really proud of that, because I came back from a long, long, dark journey, and I was able to appreciate the game and just being out there and enjoying my 15 minutes a night. And it was just back to the simple things of just enjoying playing basketball again.
I don't think people understand how difficult that had to be for you in that 6-month period. You're talking about swimming through the darkness, needing some sea therapy, and needing some general spiritual healing on, oh shit, it's almost over. Like, I'm going to have to really fight to get back.
That's right.
It's almost all ruined and over, and I didn't have warning. And what do you mean it's drugs and I'm fighting with the coach? And now I've got to check in on my identity and who am I without basketball? Am I going to be my own man these 6 months? Am I going to be like, you must be as proud of getting to Memphis as you are of winning Defensive Player of the Year.
Absolutely. That's deep.
I will explore deeper, asking you about what it was like for you at the loneliest in New York. You go there, Phil Jackson goes to your house to recruit you. They're making you their big free agent priority. You're going home. All of your dreams are going to be made real. You've been Defensive Player of the Year. You're still ascending in your mind to the top of the sport, correct?
Well, I had a really bad shoulder injury before I signed my deal with the Knicks. So I was actually, on a hospital bed. And, after the surgery, just doing a very, the rehab was just, rehab is very lonely. Guys are out there on the court doing their thing, and you're not being able to be out there and do your thing. That was definitely some of the lonelier times.
It was drudgery there, but when you go to the period where you're talking about the difficulties, the mental tests that were the 6 months after the season, after everything blew up, where you're feeling like your career is over and nobody warned you?
Mm-hmm. It's a very lonely time. It was a dark time, and I was. It's a time of my life where I probably had to do the most soul searching and find tools that could help me get through this. I remember talking to sports therapists, things that were just easy for me on the court, very comfortable for me on the court, were really difficult. And I would talk to all the teams would put me on with a therapist, a sports therapist, and like talking to me, and it didn't help at all. I was just
they don't understand me. They don't know what it's like to be me.
Well, they don't have to be on that court. They're not 6'11", walk around New York City with a ponytail, where everybody kind of sees you as the reason why your team is losing. It was very painful, and I had to go dig deeper and like, okay, what's my why? What are the tools that are going to help me? I felt like therapy didn't really help. The things that really helped me was, connecting with the right people. I give a lot of credit to Laird Hamilton, Gabby Reese for, opening their home to me that summer.
How did this all happen, right? Because you're talking about an aquatic training that ended up with you feeling very close to the earth, healing, spiritual, physical limits. Like, what's the training that you were doing with them, and why was it soothing you?
I think it was different than what I was used to. It was an unorthodox style of training. And I remember taking these heavy dumbbells and being under, 12 feet of water. And the first reaction was, get me to the top so I can get a breath. I feel like I'm going to die. And the more I did the training, the more I realized that I had to, just relax in this immense amount of pressure. Everything in my body was telling me to go up, but you have to just learn to be in a relaxed, calm state. And as the workouts kept going, I feel like I got better and better at it. It really translated onto the court.
Relaxed amid panic, you're training with one of the world's best surfers and a professional volleyball player. You're testing the capacity of your lungs, and it is bringing you healing to test yourself this way as opposed to testing yourself against others.
It was very healing because there was nobody out there telling me anything, no noise. It's just you and your thoughts. And sometimes the demons are between your ears.
How did you cope with that? How do you cope with that? The demons between your ears, because you have told me off air here that the expressing of things is not necessarily for you. It's not necessarily the way that you've been built. It doesn't mean that you wouldn't be somebody aspirationally who'd want to be that, but when free spirit isn't a lot in the speech. It's in movement and in energies.
And peace of mind. I think peace of mind is just, it's the most important thing. Is, can you be comfortable in the uncomfortable moments? That's what it's always been about. And things that were comfortable were not comfortable anymore. So how do I do that? You just got to push yourself and navigate. Just how do I get my peace of mind back? I got a lot of my peace of mind being underwater with nobody talking to me, under this pressure of feeling like I need to breathe, and just relaxing myself and getting through it and getting the job done.
What do you want to see from young players today?
I want to see, I want to see camaraderie, you know. I want to see competition at its highest level.
You're going to say they like each other too much.
I want to say
they're too friendly.
Expression, yeah. But you know, I don't like it. I don't like it. Like, you're trying to get it. Like, you're trying to get to the top. He's trying to get to the top. Like, stop being friends. I don't like that shit. I'm just happy that I got to enjoy playing basketball again, because you realize this thing goes on with or without you. Quick.
It's hard to see when you're in it, though, right? You think you're going to live forever. When you're in those battles with LeBron and Wade and you're fighting with the cities of Miami and Cleveland, your life is going to be an eternal immortality.
That's what you think.
You're never going to get old.
Yeah, but I think that every kid in his 20s feels that way. And then you get older and you realize that you're not immortal. We're actually very fragile beings and vulnerable beings, and it's deep, you know, and, you know, that's why it's all about how you deal with the highs and how you deal with the lows. I was an emotional player, and, you know, I got to live it at the highest level. And, you know, when the basketball was almost taken away from me. And I think that was a great lesson for me, because you realize these games go on with or without you.
I have a hard time understanding how this person fits with that person, though. They seem like two different entities in terms of how you carry your way through life and who you had to be in the furnace.
100%. 100%. I mean, I think everybody is. It's interest. Just even watching the games now it's interesting. You know, I watched yesterday the Knicks come back, win that game against the Sixers. And, you know, Joel Embiid's going to have to live that one. That was a tough loss yesterday. You got to mentally get yourself right for game 3. And I'm seeing him do the interview yesterday, head down. I was like, it's not just about how you're feeling. You're the leader in this locker room. You got to conduct yourself a certain way. It's different. As much pain as you're in, the other guys in the locker room can't see you with your head down like that. And you know, it's one of the reasons why I don't love, I'm not saying that to critique. I'm just saying this as it's just my opinion.
So careful, so gentle. You're saying you don't want to be, the man is a little bit broken. You don't want to pile on him, but you also want him to represent leadership in a way that you're saying, I've been there. It hurts. You gotta stick your chest out a little bit there. You got to keep up appearances.
Head up, soldier. Come on. Big game 3 coming up. This isn't over. I feel for him because I know he's playing on one leg. Been through a lot, you know, just being able to play the way that he played earlier in the year and to not have your body respond mentally it's one of the hardest things ever.
And now the scars after all these years, all of them are healed? Everything, no, not everything is healed.
I wouldn't say all of them are healed. I mean, I think you learn to live with it but yeah, it's not, you know, those losses, I'll live with that for the rest of my life. But I'll be able to talk about it but I'm not going to lie and say I'm all the way healed. No.
Which are the ones you're thinking of?
I mean, all those games, you know, ending the seasons, you know, when you're in a routine for, you know, 200 days straight where you know exactly where I am, what I'm doing for 200 days, and then season's over, and then boom, you got 3 months off to think about it. Those first 4 or 5 days are dark. And I'll say that even when we were winning championships at Florida, you know, winning the championship, you know, it's like the best feeling in the world. You know, you reach the pinnacle, you know, the highs of living and winning a championship are so real, and then whatever goes up, it must come down, so.
Well, but especially when you care the way you do. Like if it's that unreasonable, if you're treating them as near deaths, if we're talking about them 10 years later and you're saying I'm not healed and I never will be, and having a certain pride about that, like you don't even want to be. No, I want to live in a higher plane where it hurts like that.
No, I don't want to.
You'd rather get it off of you. You'd rather find the healing tools to get it off of you.
Yes, absolutely. I'm working on that I work on it every day, and even doing this, it helps because you're talking about vulnerable moments.
But losing's allowed. It's part of it. Like failure is routinely a part of it. I've talked the last couple of months here about how bad I am at treating failure as immediately gently as learning. I don't do it well. I wish I could do it well. Mm-hmm. You're talking about failing publicly. You're talking about failing in a way that hurts you more than I'm thinking about the things that hurt me. Mm-hmm. Like when you talk near death about basketball games, you're talking a language I don't understand. That kind of grief, I don't care about things like that. Mm-hmm. But you're telling me I couldn't be who I was if I didn't.
That's right. That's right. You just gotta, it's the life we chose. And you know what? That's not my life anymore. I like to try to look at things a little bit differently. And, I try not to be competitive anymore.
I've learned late in life that doesn't have a lot of value. It served you well,
exactly.
But being competitive
in the real world, it's tough.
I'm going to call this man my interview nemesis because he only wants to show you so much of himself. He likes this creative process a little bit. You tell me whether I've got anything wrong here. Baron Davis, two-time All-Star, but so much more than that. Like, I don't know if two-time All-Star is the least interesting part of his story, but he's got more story to tell here. I really appreciate throughout all of this, the intimacy and the vulnerability. Over the course of the years, I have at various times tried to ask you some form in short interviews where you're not in a totally trusting place about the Clipper experience, at least in part, because I thought to myself, my God, that could have been and should have been for him such a beautiful story.
Yeah.
That seems from afar like he expected one thing, and it was the complete opposite.
It was like Get Out
of that thing. So
basically, Get Out.
You're being heckled by the owner in the stands, and that person turns out to be very publicly a racist. There are all sorts of reported stories about him bringing people into the locker room and looking at showering basketball players and talking about their beautiful black bodies.
Oh, man.
You have never shared any of these stories with me because they're going to get aggregated and it's going to be a whole thing.
Well, the thing is, like, the people who are telling the stories, right, are doing it for a whack-ass TV show. You know what I mean? A whack-ass documentary. And, I'm a storyteller, so I know who was there. You know what I mean? No disrespect to Ramona Sherborne, but she wasn't even she was a rookie when I got there. And so I look at that and I look at people and say, oh, y'all just gonna take this story and run how y'all wanna run. Oh, y'all other athletes, y'all gonna take this story and wave a Black Power fist sign. Man, I'm not with none of that. You know what I mean? Because what I had to do was I had to understand this man, right? To be able to articulate what type of person he was, what type of business he ran, and all the people who worked for him, right? And what they had to do, right? Whether they wanted to or not.
He's the boss.
Yeah, and wherever their moral compass was, they was fucked too. So there's a lot of fuckery going on, right? And so when you have somebody, and I have to make sure that people know, Donald Sterling is not a racist. He is a hate everybody is. He don't give a shit. He don't understand blacks, Latinos, Asians, white people. He don't understand shit. He's delusional. And so whatever he says to you is like whatever the fuck he's thinking. And he is beyond ignorant, right? And so when you have that much money and you use the team as your scapegoat, if you use the team as a media play for your other business, like he wasn't a basketball fan. Basketball was just a real estate holding, right, that he probably didn't even like. But he knew it gave him fame and notoriety and shit like that. I would have to walk into the Clipper practice site and see the person in community relations bawling her eyes out. Now I got to go to work, just like she at work, but I got to stop going into the gym, getting my shit together to make sure, like, hey, man, don't worry about it. You know what I mean? Like, he ain't gonna do nothing. You know, like, I became now, like, the only person who cared about other people because I saw with the Clippers, there was no care. Everybody was there telling on each other, snitching on each other, backstabbing people. And the people who were actually honest and working and hardworking that were scared and terrified, they had nowhere to go. You know what I mean? They had nowhere to go.
And people need
you
a
ain't getting
paycheck.
no other job coming from the Clippers back then. Ain't nobody hiring no motherfuckers from the Clippers. So, like, you are at the bottom of the bottom in the worst environment, and you worked for him. It didn't matter what the team. The team was just a tool. The players were just tools, right? They were never to be understood by him. And so when you have people like Ramona, you know, or other
Well, not just that, because they were at the center before George Floyd. There's all sorts of stuff being moved around politically on black-white causes. Doc Rivers has to decide whether to boycott a game.
That's bullshit, man. That's bullshit. That's bullshit.
I don't know the real story.
I went in the locker. I went to that game. I literally went to that game because I wanted to see what they were gonna do. You know what I mean? And when you look at that squad, none of them dudes was playing like all of a sudden, oh, you hella woke because the media say you gotta be woke. Now y'all got like, if you was that woke, if you cared that much, if you was standing up to racism, if you wanted to make a statement, why the fuck didn't you not play that game? Suckers. They weak. It's weak. It was weak. Everybody in the league was ready to shut down for you. And what y'all do, y'all turn y'all jerseys over, ran out there, got y'all ass whooped, and asked for people to feel sorry for you. And then here, you know, and then Doc standing out like, you know, like he a black figure. You know what I'm saying? So, like, for me, that's why I don't like talking about it, because I start picking apart, like, all the pieces and saying, like, the reason why I don't say nothing, because I got a lot to say, and I know what the fuck I gotta say, right? And then everybody else are opportunists in this situation. So when opportunists are mining, I get out of that.
I've noticed that with you, and I want to give you the space and context on all of it. But what if I were to push back with saying to you, look, basketball players for the Clippers also had to live in the same world that you experienced of, we're all employees of this lunatic.
No, that's not true. That's not true. That's not, because I remember I went to work every day. My problem, right, with all the other players was they didn't give a fuck. You know what I mean? And I could not, for the life of me, figure out, you know, but that's why, when we had the Lob City stuff, when we started that with Blake and DeAndre, when Blake got there, it was different because Blake was different. You know, he was number one pick. Him and DeAndre were like on their way up, and Blake didn't give a fuck about none of it. And so I was like finally starting to see, like, hold on, these young kids, they just hooping. I come from an era where, like, I had to deal with owners and deal with all this shit, and I'm seeing everything. They just seeing the gym. You know what I mean? And so it became like I start to realize, like, damn, dude, these young dudes, like, I need to be more like them. I need to care less. I care too much, right? Because I really wanted, like, I really felt like, yo, by the time I get 3 years with the Clippers, like, we will be where the Warriors are, right?
That was your expectation.
That was my expectation going in.
I wanted
Dunleavy was the coach, so that didn't work out well. Lord have mercy.
Hold on, we'll get back to this stuff for a second. But how is it that you could be so wrong, thinking that the Clippers were going to be one thing? And is it ego? Is it because you thought you were good enough to be able to be the change you wanted?
No, Elton Brand. I was supposed to go there with Elton Brand, and then he did some punk shit and like signed with Philly and didn't tell me that he was signing with Philly. So I had already signed with the Clippers. So I was like, fuck it, I'm going home. I had made my mind up anyway. But I did think that the Clippers had talent. At the time they were literally right there. So it was like, if they were playing games, it was like 8th, 9th, 10th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. It was all kind of like us, the Clippers, Denver, Golden State, all these like new teams were trying to fight for position. So I figured Clippers had the talent. And with Elton Brand, you already got a big dude, so I can just, these next 4 or 5 years, I can just play traditional point guard shit, pass the ball, he get double teamed, shoot threes, and,
So you go in thinking,
I'm going thinking like, oh, man, I get to,
we're going to make the Clippers
carry the team. You know what I mean? I don't have to do all the, I just play point guard. Like, I really just want to play point guard and, run offense and shit. I don't want to do all this shit. That's why I went to the Clippers, because I felt like, all right, they got two big dudes. They got Coutinho, Mobley. You know what I mean? Like, we got cool four right now. Tim Thomas, we had size and talent and dogs. We just had a coach. Once Elton Brand didn't come, then everything just kind of fell out. Marcus Camby, we traded for. Marcus Camby showed up to training camp first day, and then don't show up for 2 weeks. He about to retire. I gotta go find Marcus Camby, sit with him. He like, man, fuck this shit. Like, you know what I mean? Because Denver traded him. So it's just all the shit that people go through. You know what I mean?
So right from the start, though,
I could not walk in and play basketball. The very first day of media, the media guy comes up to me and say, look, he pulls me to the side. He said, I know you're having fun. I'm just going to let you know, when he comes in here, don't get upset, don't get offended. He may or may not say something to you that'll offend you, and or he may say some shit. I'm like, what are you talking? This is media day. What are you talking about? I'm thinking a reporter. He's talking about the owner, dude.
So he didn't say Donald Sterling. He just said he. He might come in here.
He may come in here and say the wildest shit to you. Be careful. Don't get upset. Y'all in a good mood. Because everybody would say, when the season, before I got there, when the season started, man, it's fucked up around here. And, everybody has nothing but negative energy and negative shit to say.
You didn't know any of this beforehand?
Yeah. I mean, no. Not like that.
This.
Yeah, not like that. All teams are dysfunctional.
Right.
I just came from the Warriors. You know what I mean? When an owner, he be riding a bike when he hung over. You know what I mean?
Everybody's got something.
He was a hot mess. You know what I mean? But at the time, but not like this. This was with the Warriors. Okay, that's the owner. You like him, you don't like him. It was a separation between, what he does for the team versus what he do for himself. This situation was you cannot detach nobody from nothing. Everybody's a spy. Everybody's lying to move up or to save their face. And then Mike Dunleavy has all the power. So he can literally say whatever the fuck he want to the owner or to anybody, right, about anybody. And so, when you have leadership like that, it's a circus. I remember in training camp, I was like, man, I fucked up. This is a circus. I ain't never seen no shit like this. I would say that every day in practice. I've never seen, I did not think that the NBA, an NBA team could be ran like that.
And you'd been some places at that point. You'd seen some.
We had some bad years. You know, like I just come off a bad year with Byron Scott where I got traded, you know, and the Warriors was having a bad year, but like nothing was like this. This was like, man, Chris came in, we in practice, he grabbed a rope, lasso it around, one of them dudes that pull the shit. Just all kind of people pulling each other pants down, kicking water bottles over. It's like, man, this ain't no fun. This is a fucking circus show.
What is the context that people would need, again, with the space to do it, not worried about, because I'm so appreciative that we've done this way, and I hate for you, the entirety of your career, I have felt like the back and forth with journalists isn't stimulating enough to you, isn't something that appeals to your greatest curiosities. What are the things that people need to know as someone who was in the fire of that, the context that they don't have when you say, that wasn't actually a race war. That was just a basketball team that was stuck under an owner that had an organization of profound dysfunction.
Man, it was just extreme dysfunction. Like it was just every day it was dysfunctional. Like you don't know what the fuck you're doing when you go to work. You don't know if you got anything out. Like, how do you go to the gym and not play basketball? Like, we wouldn't scrimmage. Like, we would just talk, 1-through plays. Like, it became like, who the fuck wants to be here? This is like, now you're talking about stress, PTSD. Imagine can't do what you want to do, how you want to do it. But all they doing is just telling you what to do. It's like groundhog, telling you what to do. And I felt sorry for the people, like, you know, you think like Jason Powell, he's still there, the head trainer. Like, this dude is brilliant. This dude is doing all that he can, right, to solve a problem because the players keep getting hurt and they keep telling him no. Right? And so, like, I'm watching. None
of the competent people have power to do anything.
Crazy.
Undermine.
Crazy. And so now everybody got to be a little sneaky to get some shit done to benefit the players. You know what I mean? Or the players have to go and, like, come back, you know, which you don't care. You got to come back to the gym to get extra shots because you realize, man, I ain't got no shots in practice in 3 weeks. And so, like, the environment that was created made you not want to be in the gym. You just wanted to go to work. As soon as your shit was over, you didn't want to see nobody. Like, you wanted to imagine living as a basketball player and not wanting to deal with, like, it was literally like, yo, this is a job that I hate. And when you go to work, like, your other teammates and homies, like, damn, man, what's wrong with you? You all right? Like, you don't look good. Like, and then you playing the game. They're like, yo, what the fuck? Like, what's wrong with you? And your homies and your friends here in LA who showing up to the games, they like, yo, we came to see BD play. And it's like, I ain't know how to play basketball no more. Yo. Yeah, these motherfuckers talking to me. I can't.
There's got to be some joy around what you're doing. There's got to
be freedom. For me, it's got to be freedom.
Artistic freedom.
Freedom, creativity, and, like, I know what I'm doing out here. You know what I mean? I can't play.
Support it, don't undermine it.
Support, don't undermine. Then the next year, Vinny Del Negro. And you got to think, the Clippers were going to have success because DeAndre, Blake, your cornerstones were getting better. You know what I mean? The younger guys were getting better. And then Vinny the Snake, I call him Vinny the Snake because he a lying motherfucker.
Oh, no.
Vinny the Snake, you know, he was just positioning to keep his job so he could, like, he knew he had a good team and they started bringing in the right people, like, once I left. But I was like, damn, dude, all I needed was one Chris Paul squad, like the Matt, Jamal, JJ, give me that team, like, who want to win a championship?